Rock Chat with Trace.
This interview I'm talking to Ricky Warwick from the band Black Star Riders, who has just released his latest solo album, When Life Was Hard and Fast. Hello, and thanks for doing the interview.
Hey, how's it going? How are you? Thanks for having me.
How are you doing?
I'm doing good, thank you. Doing very well. The sun is shining and I'm feeling okay.
Your new album, When Life Was Hard and Fast, was number 3 in the UK rock chart. What's so special about the album?
What's so special about this? It's good. That's what's so special. It's a great record. Every record's special. You know, you're putting your hard work in your songs and you're doing the best that you can and you're capturing a moment in time of where you're at. And that becomes an album. And then you put it out there for the world to judge and to criticize and to see what they think of it. And that's the whole process. And it's a wonderful process. And I really enjoy being part of it. This album, I think, is maybe one of the most personal records that I've ever made.
It appears to be quite a reflective album.
It is. I think it is. I think, getting a little bit older and certainly getting to, a stage of life where there's more days maybe behind you than they are in front of you. You look back and you look back on your life and you take stock of what's happened and some of the situations and experiences. You watch your own family start to grow up and go out in the world and see their experiences and how they're dealing with it. So I think, like I said, it's a very personal record on that front, that it's very reflective, but it's also definitely looking forward as well.
Do you think that lockdown has allowed you to reflect on your music career?
I think lockdown's allowed us all to reflect on a lot of things, because we've had restrictions placed on us that we never would dreamed of having before. So I think you either let it consume you or you go, okay, this is happening. How do I deal with this in the most positive way that I can? For me, I've just thrown myself even more into my work and I've really enjoyed the time that I've had with my family, because for the last, my whole adult life, I've been going on tour, for 6 months of the year. And obviously you're away from loved ones. So I've taken full advantage of not being on tour and being home with the people that I love, and it's been really nice.
Personally, what's your favourite song on the album and why?
It's easy one, Dance. It's Time Don't Seem to Matter, because it's the duet with my daughter Pepper. So having her on there and working with her and the whole proud dad moment that came with that is just, it's one of the greatest highlights of my career, not just the record.
This must have been a very special song to do.
It was. I think it's a song that I've been wanting to write for quite a long time, just, being away. And it's a positive song because it's sort of saying, okay, look, I know that you've grown up your whole life with dad always having to go on tour and missing birthdays and school stuff and Thanksgiving that I do. But when I'm home, it's not about the quantity of time, it's the quality of time that we have when we're together is amazing. So I think it's saying, hey, you look at it that way,
Tell me about Clown and Misery.
Clown and Misery was a demo. It's me singing into my phone, basically, and putting the idea down in my iPhone so I don't forget it, with a plan to go into the studio and record it properly later. Me sending it to Keith Nelson, my co-producer, and Keith going, this is great. We should just make this sound like an old, gramophone record from the 40s, like an old Hank Williams record or an old Woody Guthrie record. And he said, don't record it again. Are you crazy? He said, no, it's going to be cool. So we just basically just the iPhone recording. And then lyrically, it's that whole thing of putting on a brave face and getting on with it when you're falling apart inside. So, you could be on the outside, looks like everything's okay, but inside you could be crying out for help. It's that whole thing going on.
Is that why you chose to simplify the album's recording?
We didn't simplify the recording. Kind of make records the way I've always made them, live as possible with a solid band to put down the backing tracks. But we wanted to be very direct with the guitar sound and with the harmonies and with the melodies. There wasn't going to be any 7.5 minute, songs on this record with 15 different time changes. We wanted to be very direct, 3.5 minute, 4 minute, in your face rock and roll songs. I think it's a very honest record. I think it's just an honest rock and roll album.
You talk about politics and drug addiction on this album. How important is current affairs to you?
It's something I'm interested in because I read a lot and I certainly always have one eye on what's going on in the world. I think certainly more as I've got older and had children myself, you worry about their future and what kind of world we're setting out for them to come into. I've grown up in Northern Ireland. Sadly, I've never been able to really get away from religion or politics. It's been part of my whole life, whether I like it or not. And it is something I'm interested in. I certainly am. And I've had many experiences of it, myself and family and friends.
Do you think that your views have changed since you've moved to LA?
Obviously, living in America, suddenly, because I live here and I lived here for 16 years, I'm certainly looking at what's going on in American politics. But, the first thing I do in the morning when I wake up, you go on your phone is, I subscribe to the Belfast Telegraph. So I go on the Belfast Telegraph. I still look what's happening in Northern Ireland. Or then I'll go on the BBC, what's happening in Scotland, what's happening in the UK. So I'm still very much want to know what the situation is back home. that is still home to me. And yeah, but then living here also in America now, I'm very interested in the whole sort of circus that's been going on for the last 4 years plus here in America.
What would you say is the most pressing problem facing the world at the moment?
Well, obviously the pandemic is the first and foremost thing we're going through right now. I'd say poverty. I think it's terrible that, I'm living in a country, it's supposed to be the richest country in the world. And the homeless situation, certainly here in Los Angeles, is out of control. And the lines at the food banks all across the country are insane. Nobody should be going hungry in the world. Nobody should be going hungry in the United States of America. It shouldn't be a thing. And I think that's a huge problem.
You have a number of friends on the album. How did you choose what songs they would play on?
We just finished the songs, and it was a case of me sort of going to Keith, wouldn't it be great if we get Joe Elliott to sing on that? And Keith's like, yeah. I said, okay, well, I'm going to send him the song. Really, that's how it came about. It was the songs were finished, and it was like, man, or I'd been, like you said, they're my friends, so I would be talking on the phone. I'd be like, hey, man, I'm working on an album. Do you want to play guitar on this track? And they're like, okay, send it over. So it's just really spontaneous. There wasn't really a lot of, they're just my friends. And I was like, oh, come play on my record.
How was it working with Keith Nelson?
It's brilliant. He's brilliant. He's a kindred spirit. He's a second-class boy like me, great musical taste. We love the same music, same attitude to work, and there was a great chemistry between us. And it was really, really good fun working on this record with Keith.
What was the first concert you did, and was you nervous?
Yes, the first live concert I ever played was when I was 14 years old. And it was a guy whose name was John Brennan. And I just moved to Scotland, to a town called Straven, and we played at his 16th birthday party in the church hall, and I was shitting myself.
Tell me about your show on the 13th of March.
That is absolutely 100% happening because it's online. Yes, I can't wait. Been doing those kind of every month now. They've been a lot of fun. It's obviously not the same as playing live in person, but it's the next best thing. And this one's going to be a fun one. It's going to be 3 days before St. Patrick's Day, so it'll be a little bit loose, and there'll be a few surprises in the set list, and I'm looking forward to it.
What's the current situation with Black Star Riders?
Black Star Riders, at the minute, we have written the next album number 5, and we are just patiently waiting to get into the studio to record it, which I'm hoping is going to be late August, early September here in Los Angeles. So we're all good.
Anything else you want to mention?
Yes, thank you for all the support. Please buy the new album. I think you guys will like it, and just everybody be safe and be well, and thank you.
Ricky Warwick's When Life Was Hard and Fast is out now, and I'd like to thank Ricky for joining me for this interview.
Thank you, Tracy.